Have you ever, caught yourself in that really quiet, almost defeated moment asking, why? Why does this always happen to me?
Oh, absolutely. That
Yeah,
feeling like you've just been dealt a bad hand.
exactly. It's that feeling of total resignation. Like you're not driving your life anymore. You're just a passenger on this perpetually bumpy road.
And look, that feeling is completely normal. It's a very human reaction when things get tough.
Huh?
But what we're really diving into today is something a bit deeper. It's that internal script.
Right.
When that feeling of defeat isn't just, a temporary emotion, but it starts running your life, when it becomes your core story, well, it acts like these invisible anchors.
Anchors.
Yeah.
Quietly keeping you stuck.
Stuck in survival mode, yeah. No
Yeah.
matter how hard you feel like you're paddling.
That makes sense. So our mission today in this deep dive is really to look straight at that inner conversation. We want to analyze that crucial difference, between a mindset that processes pain, learns, and moves towards growth, and one that's almost structurally designed to keep you looping, stuck in resentment and, well, powerlessness.
Exactly. And we've pulled together some key psychological insights from our research, really, to create a kind of roadmap for self-assessment.
Okay.
But let's be clear, this isn't a test. You don't pass or fail here. Think of it more like a mirror.
A mirror. I like that.
Yeah, just reflecting where your power might currently be residing.
Yeah.
And getting that clarity, well, that's the first, most compassionate step toward reclaiming authorship of your life. It starts when you can spot the subtle ways you might be giving your power away.
Okay, let's unpack that. Starting with what feels like the very first critical pivot point. Responsibility versus blame. Phase 1, let's call it. The trap of external responsibility.
Or maybe the blame script.
Yeah, the blame script. I like that.
So when things go wrong, where does your mind immediately go? What's the default?
Yeah.
The victim mindset tends to default to holding everyone else responsible. The thoughts like, I always end up being the one hurt, or if only they hadn't done that, my life would be okay.
That sounds, well, it sounds exhausting, honestly.
It is, because blame, it gives you this temporary, rush of relief because it takes the fault off you, but it keeps you paralyzed, stuck.
So the truly empowered response isn't about denying that something unfair happened because, let's face it, bad things do happen.
Right.
It's more about recognizing you still have the power to choose your response. You might not control the event itself.
They are the event sometimes.
But you absolutely control the reaction, your reaction.
Exactly. And that shift, you can see it clearly in the thoughts that pop up right after a setback. The deep victim thought is often fixed, generalized, like life is always unfair to me.
It's passive, like a declaration that just reinforces the helplessness.
Totally passive.
Yeah.
Now, contrast that with a more forward-looking thought. That thought acknowledges the pain, sure, but it immediately pivots. It asks, okay, what can I learn here? Or what could I maybe do differently next time?
So it's moving from being a casualty of the situation to being an investigator within the situation, looking for solutions.
Beautifully put, an investigator. And this distinction is so crucial when we talk about how often these negative feelings come up. Our sources really highlight the difference between dwelling and processing.
Dwelling versus processing, okay.
If you find yourself looping those same defeated feelings almost every single day, feeling stuck, feeling beaten down, you're likely dwelling. You're essentially feeding that pattern, letting the narrative just consume you.
Can we get a clearer rule of thumb on that? Is processing about putting a time limit on the feeling, or is it more about actively seeking some kind of resolution?
I'd say it's more the latter. Processing involves feeling the emotion, naming it, anger, grief, frustration, and allowing it to actually move through you, often with a defined endpoint, like maybe journaling about it or talking it through with someone.
Okay, so it has a direction.
It has a direction. Dwelling, on the other hand, is looping the story around the emotion. This proves I'm unlucky. This always happens. It'll happen again. Processing focuses on the present feeling. Dwelling focuses on cementing a permanent negative narrative.
Got it.
So if you find yourself spiraling only, say rarely, it probably means you're able to process those feelings and then actively work to shift your focus before that whole story takes over again.
That makes the difference feel much more actionable. Okay, let's move into phase 2 then, because it feels like the leap from blaming the outside world often leads right back inward, but maybe in a comparative way.
That's a great point. We shift from just external blame to looking at our internal perception. Things like agency, control, and crucially, comparison.
Agency and control. Let's start there.
Right. That feeling of control is just fundamental to agency. If you feel like none of a situation is controllable, well, you're mentally painting yourself into a corner. Everything feels like it's just happening to you.
You're purely reactive, just waiting for the outside world to change so you can finally feel okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Waiting. Versus
It's like being a boat anchored in a storm, convinced you can't move, right?
perfect metaphor.
Versus realizing, hey, I actually have a rudder. I can set a course, even if it's slow going, even if the sea's rough.
That's the feeling of having a lot of control. It doesn't mean you dictate reality, not at all.
Oh.
It just means you take proactive steps. You navigate the setbacks. You actively try to shape what comes next.
And this sense of agency, this feeling of control, it gets severely tested when we look at others, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Question 5 in our assessment framework hits this hard. Your emotional reaction to someone else's success.
Oh, this one is so revealing. It's a profound indicator of your mindset's health because it really shows whether you're operating from a place of abundance or scarcity.
That bitter response is so telling, isn't it? I feel bitter. They just don't know how hard my life is. When that thought comes up, your mind is basically measuring your pain against their gain. It's assuming their success somehow highlights your own lack or even takes something away from you.
Yes. If that victim mindset is really active, it sees success as a zero-sum game. The internal belief, often unconscious, is, well, if you get a slice of luck or success, there's less left for me.
God, that sounds exhausting too, just
Yeah.
constantly measuring.
It really is.
So the real hurdle here, it seems, is detaching our own self-worth from what other people achieve.
Precisely.
The truly healthy mindset is feeling genuinely inspired, maybe, celebrating them without that awful sting of comparison, recognizing that their success is actually proof that success is possible.
Yes, possible for anyone.
Not proof that you are failing. Wow, that feels like internal freedom right there.
It really is. And maybe before we dive into the even deeper patterns, this is a good moment to just pause. A little reflection point. Just remember, everyone listening, this self-assessment stuff, it's purely about getting clarity. It's not about judgment or blame. It's simply about locating where your power currently is so we can start the work of bringing it back home.
Right, locating your power. Okay, so phase 3. This is where it gets really deep, doesn't it? Deep patterns and authorship. We're looking at the subconscious stuff now, and maybe the most profound question here is, do you actually find familiarity in struggle?
This is a huge one, a massive psychological hurdle for many. Our research really highlights this phenomenon where for some people, chaos and pain actually start to feel like, well, like a weird kind of home.
Home, how so?
Often it's because the nervous system itself has become neurologically familiar with high-stress states. It's wired for it almost.
Wait, so when things are actually calm, they might feel anxious. Because the familiar feeling, the stress, is gone.
You got it. That baseline is off.
So the victim mindset isn't just a mindset. It can become a kind of default comfort zone, even if it's painful.
Precisely. Which means the goal isn't just passively seeking peace. It's actively choosing peace.
Yeah.
Even if that peace feels unfamiliar at first, maybe even awkward or boring.
Boring.
Yeah. It requires consciously choosing to normalize calm over chaos, retraining the nervous system.
And this feeds right into accountability, doesn't it? When we're the ones who hurt others. Question 7 deals with that conflict. If chaos feels comfortable, maybe we justify our own bad behavior more easily.
That's often the case. The defensive response kicks in. Well, they should understand. I didn't mean it like that. I'm hurting too. It's an attempt to sort of distribute your own pain to avoid taking full responsibility.
Deflecting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the truly powerful choice, the authorship choice, it's taking full responsibility, owning your part, apologizing sincerely, making amends where you can. That shift is authorship in action.
Okay, authorship. That brings us squarely to the core narrative itself. What story are you actually telling yourself day in and day out about your life? Are you stuck reciting, look, I've just been dealt a bad hand, nothing ever changes for people like me?
Or are you starting to recognize that you are the primary editor of your life story?
The editor, yeah.
That you are the author. And no matter how many, difficult or even tragic chapters you've lived through, you can turn the page. This is cognitive restructuring. It's the conscious editing of that internal script we talked about.
And if you don't believe you can turn the page, why would you even try to act now? It seems completely linked to question 9, your belief in the future.
Absolutely linked.
You contrast that deep resignation, nah, people like me, we don't get happy endings, with the quiet maybe, but absolute certainty that change is always possible, even in small steps.
That belief fuels action.
Yeah.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, that final question, number 10, about how you respond to adversity, it ties it all together.
Oh.
When difficulty hits, what's the default? Do you shut down? Do you wait for someone else to rescue you? Do you just complain and vent but never actually plan an action?
Or do you lean into it? Do you see the difficulty as a challenge, maybe? Do you reflect, plan, act, take those growth-minded steps forward?
That's the fundamental difference, isn't it? Between being just a subject of life's events
Passively receiving them?
and being an active, engaged participant in shaping your outcome, taking the helm.
Okay. So we've gone through the questions, done that inner check-in. Now let's talk about the structure of transformation. The scoring breakdown you mentioned earlier, it outlines 5 distinct stages, right? With a specific growth path for each.
That's right. 5 tiers of evolution.
Let's start at the beginning. Tier 1. Deep in the victim mindset. This is for scores around 10, 19 points. The emotional state here, it sounds like being deeply stuck, maybe resentful, definitely exhausted by that mental loop.
Absolutely exhausted. And the growth path here. It has to start small, almost deceptively small. The core truth to really begin internalizing is this. Being hurt wasn't your fault, but healing is your responsibility.
Healing is your responsibility.
So the task is just to start noticing. Catch those why me moments. Acknowledge the pain, don't deny it. But then just gently ask, okay, what now? Even a tiny what now. Practice tiny acts of agency. Maybe setting one small boundary, or maybe just asking for help for the very first time. That's huge.
Tiny acts of agency. I like that. Okay, next up, we see some movement. Tier 2. Wrestling with dysfunctional patterns. Scores around 2029. You used that metaphor earlier, like one foot is on the gas, the other on the brake.
Yeah, that's the feeling. There's awareness now. You see the patterns. But those old thought loops, they keep pulling you back into the comfort, the weird neural familiarity of that struggle.
That sounds incredibly frustrating to see the way out, but hesitate.
It is frustrating because you can see the solution, but grabbing it feels risky, unsafe. The growth path here requires some really deep reflection. Asking why those old patterns, even though they're destructive, feel safer than trying something new.
Safer than the unknown.
Exactly. So for instance, if you believe, I never get support, the work is asking, okay, hang on. Have I actually asked for support directly? Clearly. And if not, why does asking feel dangerous or vulnerable? Healing is uncomfortable, no doubt, but staying stuck is often its own kind of slow agony.
Right. Creating discomfort for agony. Okay, then we hit tier 3. Building awareness and readiness. Scores 30, 39. This sounds like the waking up phase.
That's a good way to put it. Waking up. Some days you feel empowered, you take your power back completely. Other days, whoosh, you feel pulled right back down by the past.
The internal script is known, you recognize it, but sometimes you fall back into reading the old lines anyway.
Perfectly said.
Yeah.
The path here is all about building really meticulous emotional self-awareness, like a detective of your own inner world. Your task is to name what you're feeling, and crucially, why. Connect the feeling to the thought that triggered it. And then make one small, deliberate change that gives you back a little bit of agency. Maybe it is setting that firm boundary this time, or maybe it's deliberately reframing one persistent negative thought every single time it pops up.
Conscious interruption.
Conscious interruption.
Yeah.
And the mantra to hold on to here is really important. You are not broken, you are evolving.
You are not broken, you are evolving. Powerful. Okay, finally, the top tiers of resilience. Tier 4, growing into empowerment, and Tier 5, grounded in self-leadership, scores 40, 50. This is about authorship, right? You've actively rewritten most of those old stories.
Yeah, this is where you're living from that rewritten script most of the time.
Yeah.
For the empowered person in Tier 4, the growth path is really about reinforcing those positive adaptive habits, maintaining that healthy inner dialogue, nurturing supportive community, consistently acting with purpose, solidifying the gains.
And for Tier 5,
Yeah.
self-leadership, what's the focus there?
Well, for self-leadership, the focus often naturally shifts a bit from purely personal growth towards maybe service, contribution. The task becomes staying humble, staying curious, flexible, and really importantly, recognizing that your story, the one you successfully rewrote, it can now light the path for someone else who might still be sitting in the dark. Paying it forward.
Paying it forward. That's a beautiful culmination. What really stands out to me in all this is that no matter where you score, the process itself is growth. The assessment just gives you the coordinates, like you said, where to start digging.
Absolutely. It's just a mirror. It's not a label. It's definitely not a life sentence. And shifting out of that victim mindset, it doesn't mean you have to forget your past pain or minimize it or pretend it didn't happen.
No.
It simply means choosing to own your story now instead of letting your story continue to own you.
Owning your story. Leadership truly does start from within, doesn't it? Hopefully this deep dive has helped you, listening right now, recognize the subtle but immense power you hold in your daily internal dialogue. So, maybe the final thought to leave you with is this. What old restrictive belief might it be time for you to start rewriting today? Keep that thought moving as you step into whatever comes next. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.